Hello, thank you for joining us again at Ignite for another one of our instructional videos. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of our kits. Thankfully our kit library is now open, so you can come and grab a project and create anything you'd like. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is our oil pastel kit. In your oil pastel kit, you'll get a little Tupperware full of oil pastels with a multitude of colors. The one thing I will mention is that because they're all in the same bin, they tend to smudge up against one another. So grab a paper towel and wipe off the outside edges of your pastel so you get a clean application of color when you're using it against the paper. And then you won't get any muddy colors or missed textures. Now, we also provide a good variety of different papers, from watercolor paper to high tooth paper. Things with texture tend to work better with pastels because it gives something for the pastels to grab onto and to adhere to the paper. It's not so much important with the oil pastels as it is with our next kit, but it's still a good thing to have around. The other thing you'll find in your kit will be a roll of masking tape, and this is just to help you create clean lines around your pastel drawing. You can do it for trees, the horizon line, or buildings. It's just a good tool to have around while you're making pastel colors. Moving on to the second kit, we have our chalk pastel kit, which is very similar to the oil pastel kit in that it comes with a wide range of colored pastels and a wide range of different types of paper for you to experiment on and kind of see how the material works with the paper. It will also come with a roll of masking tape as well as a blending stump and an eraser. So with that, I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration with our pastels on some paper that I've already pre-made. So I'm going to start with the oil pastels. And we'll start with something simple. We'll just draw an apple. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a texture around the outside of the pastel, but with a move of your finger, it blends very nicely into the paper. So it can kind of smear, and you can add layers to it. And you can blend the black color for the shadow right on into the red. Then for some highlights, add a little bit of lemon yellow. And you see that as I'm adding oil pastel to the image, that it's blending nicely in. And you can even go over the top with light colors to kind of lighten or move back darker colors that you've laid in before. And as you can see, I was able to add a nice white highlight over the top of the color because you can add layers much like oil paint over the top of your previous drawing to create nice effects. And you can do that to lighten shadows or to blend in to your foreground to kind of make shadows stand back. But there we have a nice apple with our oil pastels. Next thing we'll be showing are our chalk pastels. Now chalk pastels, kind of like sidewalk chalk, you'll notice leaves a little bit of a powdery residue. So you can't layer quite as much as you can with the oil pastel. But nonetheless, you can still lay very good applications of color. And this is where I'd use my handy blending stump or tortillon to kind of work all these powders in amongst each other and really work it into the paper to make sure that all of that stays where it's supposed to be. So you get a little bit of a sense of the workability and the difference between oil and chalk pastels. Now let's get into a couple of textures that we can get with both of these. So bringing back out the oil pastels, one thing that you'll need to practice is creating blends into other colors. So try to think of colors that go well with one another when doing blending. Something close to each other on the color wheel, like red and orange blend very well together. And the cool thing about this, as opposed to chalk pastel where you can just blend it with the blending stump, you can go back over it a number of times with each type of pastel oil, and it'll give you a different look as to how it's going to blend. Now, in addition to that, you can use techniques like cross-hatching, to create kind of fabric sort of texture, or to create shadows. You can also use stipling, where you just kind of press hard into the paper and create really nice marks of color. And then with the chalk pastel, you can come in around in the paper that hasn't been used to create washes. So that was just an inside look on a little bit of how we work with our kits here at Ignite. Feel free to schedule an appointment, and definitely make sure to share what you make on one of our social media venues, either on the Ignite Community Discussion Board on Facebook, or Twitter or Instagram. So thank you for joining us.